Christian, that was just delightful. We're getting used to having Gavin play the piano, but we're not all that used to having Christian play, and that was just, what a beautiful way to start the service. Good morning. I am the Reverend Samaya Oakley, and I get the privilege of serving this congregation as its minister. This month, we are just completing a month-long exploration on the theme of what does it mean to be a people of belonging, of becoming. As I look at what that means for me, I know I need to spend time on reflecting on how the process of becoming a Unitarian Universalist calls me to continue to learn about racial violence that affects so many of our colonial systems of white supremacy culture. It's one of the ways in which I can answer the call of love. For us today, we recognize that all of this takes place on the land of Mohkinstsis, or the city of Calgary. As Treaty 7 people, we are in relationship with the Blackfoot Confederacy, and these are the Siksika, Piikani, and Kainai First Nations, as well as the Dene First Nation, the... You are awesome! And the three bands of the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, the Chiniki, Bearspaw, and Good Stoney. And it also brings us into relationship with Otipemisiwak Métis government of the Métis Nation within Alberta Districts 5 and 6. So welcome. Welcome into this busy congregation. I want to draw your attention to a few things. After the service today, there is a town hall here to go through the budget if you're curious about that kind of aspect of our life. And next week, we'll have an opportunity to vote on that budget at the annual general meeting, as well as to vote on a new slate of elected positions. As well, be sure to check out the items available in Wickenden for the service auction. Can always do that. So welcome. Welcome into this time, this space that we as the gathered community hold to be set apart from our everyday lives. We come into this place filled with the joy of being together. We come to remember our highest aspirations, knowing that we are connected in mystery and miracle. We come into this place, this time apart, so that our hearts can find a stillness and be at home. We welcome seeking a home that transcends this building or anything physical. So welcome into this space, a space where we welcome all of who you are, regardless of your race, your color, your theological or your sexual orientation, or other things that make you uniquely who you are. You are beautiful, you are loved, and you are welcomed into this space. So let us prepare our hearts and minds now for worship.
We have a treat today. We have a guest choir, Vocal Latitudes, which I direct on Tuesdays here at 7:15. We rehearse right here. So this is Calgary's World Music Choir, a beginner non-auditioned group, and we're going to present 3 pieces today in the prelude, offering, and postlude, and so I hope you enjoy them. Our first piece is by a Cree composer, Cheryl Siwapegaham, who's up-and-coming star in the Canadian choral music. She writes her text in Woodland Cree, which is a dialect of Cree. And so this first piece is Gakiao Oskayak, which translates to all the young people on this earth sing together. So I absolutely love this piece. We have a guest joining us as well. Ronnie Joy is going to play the frame drum. So Vocal Latitudes, let's get up on stage.
I'm Lisa Patfield. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm your service reader for this morning. I've been coming to the congregation for almost a year, and what keeps me coming back is this strong community. Grounded in more than 200 years of thoughtful, spiritual communities, we're people of many generations, ethnicities, genders and sexualities, and spiritual backgrounds. People engaged in making the world a better place, people focusing on what really matters: love, justice, integrity, and hope. We light our chalice this morning in acknowledgement that together we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief system. As Unitarian Universalists, we do not have to check our personal background and beliefs at the door. Instead, we join together on a journey in community, a journey that celebrates the path we're on and where it will take us.
I'd like to invite you to join us for our opening hymn. It's number 1051 in the Teal hymnal, We Are, by Issei Barnwell. And please rise in body or spirit as we sing. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayer, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the wheels of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage and fathers of time. We are daughters of dust and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy and brothers of love. We are lovers of life and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, the morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each time that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are.
All right. I'm Director of Religious Education, Sheila McMaster, and my pronouns are she and her, and we were just singing from the Teal hymnal, which is also one of our new members, Brett's drag queen name. And so in honor of Brett, myself and Samaya are all wearing teal. which is just to show how organized and perfect we are.
We got the memo.
And so today we're talking about what does the idea of becoming mean to you, and it has me thinking about becoming Unitarian. And as we celebrate our new members, I want to share just how inclusive and diverse we all are, even around food. So often at the food table, we have gluten-free options, right? And let's say someone's a carnivore, what does that mean? Meat, right? Let's say someone's vegan, what does that mean? That's right. No eggs, no honey. Vegetarian, what does that mean? Vegetables. And Unitarian, what does that mean? Unicorns. We mostly eat unicorns. And the usual platter of unicorn will be at the coffee table, just so you new members are aware. And the story I want to share, and if you didn't get it, vegetarian, vegetables, Unitarian, anyway, you get it. The story I want to share with all of you is at the core for me as to why I'm a Unitarian Universalist. And it's a place where I can authentically be me, and diverse and connected, and as the Calgary newspaper likes to call us, we're the nuts up on the hill, those fruit cakes. And we thought, that sounds delicious. And so we started making fruitcakes with nuts as our biggest fundraiser. And, we're the people who makes lemons into lemonade. And that is why I love being here. And so the book today is called I Am Me, a Book of Authenticity by Susan Verde and art by Peter H. Reynolds. All right. Let's hit the slides and hope I don't hear back, what slides? It's only happened once, just once. There we go. There are things about me that make me different, and sometimes I stand out in a crowd. And sometimes I'm not seen at all, and I feel alone. And I start to ask myself, why can't I blend in? Fit the mold? Maybe I'm too little or too much. But when I stop and look, I see nothing in this world is exactly the same. Difference is what makes life beautiful and miraculous. And when I show who I truly am, I can find my joy, my spark. I have something to contribute. I can't hold back or hold it in. I am someone to be celebrated. I am me. And I can have my own style and decide how I want to show up in the world. And I can be grateful for my hair or my skin or my size because they're all mine. And I can be proud of my body and thankful for all that it can do. I can embrace that I'm perfectly imperfect because that is what makes me interesting. Scree. I can dance to my own rhythm anytime I want to move and groove. And I can learn from others who express themselves with confidence, even when it's hard. I can be a role model for someone who's afraid to show their own true colors. And I can celebrate things in this world, love and peace, that I decide are most meaningful to me, unity and hope. I can love anyone I choose, fully and completely, with all my heart. And I can notice that every creature, small and grand, has something unique and necessary. And I can know that community connection and acceptance exist, and I will find them. And I can surround myself with those who see me, stand up for me, and support me. And I can be okay knowing not everyone will understand me because I have love for myself. And I don't need to hide away or hold back or compare myself to anyone else. Because I am me and I matter. And you are you and you matter. And we are just right. Beautiful and miraculous exactly as we are. The end. And so this week's challenge is to embrace your own unique weirdness. Know that in this congregation you matter and you are welcome. Brene Brown says, belonging doesn't require us to change who we are. It requires us to be who we are. And we are Unitarian Universalists. Now please join me as I take the flame of our light downstairs to our children and youth.
In just a few short moments, the ushers will be passing the offering basket around. We come to this place because we love what exists here. This church is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. Its breath and its heartbeat, its life itself can only be derived from its living components, us. If you are new here, please let the basket pass you by, as your presence is gift to us this morning. If you are looking for ways to contribute your time, energy, or talent to our beloved community, please stop by the membership table in the Barker Room and let us know. Each month, we choose one cause to share our donations. For the month of April, our funds will go to Calgary Alliance for the Common Good. The Calgary Alliance for the Common Good is a nonpartisan and nonprofit alliance of congregations, unions, schools, and community groups in Calgary representing more than 35,000 people. In fact, this coming May, every single one of us is invited to a series of listening circles to talk about the issues facing our community. This is one of the tools that the Alliance uses to identify common issues facing Calgary so that we might work together to make change. If you're interested in being a facilitator for those conversations, please see Susan Ridley in room 4 downstairs at noon. If this is where you'd like to direct your offering, please indicate 4 others in the message with your e-transfer or on the offering envelope. A wise one once said, "The great use of a life is to spend it for something that outlasts it." We will now receive our offertory, our opportunity to give to this community, our lasting community of memory and hope.
Not yet. That's when we do the Joyce and Sorrows.
I dreamed of rain and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, the green was easy and the rivers ran clear. I dreamed of summer and the winds changed, and peace spread over the land. And the flowers bloomed and danced
We are so blessed with such musical talent in this congregation. Thank you, Vocal Latitudes. That was just beautiful. Thank you. Into each of our lives there comes those moments of joy or sorrow that moves us into a place where life, if only for a moment or two, feels surreal, incredible. It is in those moments that we find ourselves on tender ground. It seems as if both our joys and our sorrows bring us to that same tender place where human life becomes meaningful. It is for this reason that each time we gather, we take time to acknowledge and lift up those tender moments. And we light one candle today for all who are holding pain and sorrow. We hold in our hearts Brandis and her family as they navigate the ups and downs of grief. Brandis's husband, Bill, died peacefully on Tuesday morning. And we light a candle today for all who hold joy in their hearts, joy for the birth of new life, joy for the rebirth of all the plants, joy for all of the lengthening days, and whatever joy that you have on your hearts and minds today. And we light one final candle, a candle for global concern, in honor of the United Nations campaign launched this week to tackle the climate emergency. This campaign brings together social media influencers, Indigenous leaders, and corporate giants. What a combination, hey? Sharing what they've done and what is to come. It aims to speed up local and international levels of effort to take more ambitious steps to ensure the global temperature does not heat up beyond the 1.5 degree limit, a goal set with the 2015 Paris Agreement on climate change. We pray that that endeavor, along with so many others, be successful. Thank you, Lisa. In each of our services, we take time to sit together in silence and stillness, to listen to the call of our own heart. After some contemplative words, we'll sit together in silence for 2 minutes and come out of that with our hymn number 391, Find a Stillness. If you're the person that likes to have the notes with you, you may want to open that gray hymnal, turn to 391, and mark it with your order of service. The words will be projected for you as well. You can feel free to sing along as the music plays, or you can just allow it to bring you gently back into this space. These words come from the Reverend Sarah Eileen Lawal and are entitled In the Silence. Spirit of life and love, in the silence, in the stillness, we hear the call of our own heart, its tender dreams, its sorrows and triumphs. In the silence, in the stillness, we hear the whispers of days gone by, of dreams still becoming, the promise of the future. We celebrate together our individual journeys and dreams and our collective ones, knowing that the journey is so much richer with others to share in it. In the name of all that is holy, we move into silence, listening for that still small voice within.
inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still we'll remain singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In storm and rain, sorrow and pain, still you'll remain singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
I'm curious, how many of you open the e-news, our weekly email? Have you noticed over the last several weeks that there have been different versions of a Unitarian Universalist elevator speech? Well, you have, yes! Awesome! Because it's always good to have those few stock phrases that you can use to answer that question. You're a uni what? How many of you have been asked a question like that? And how many of you kind of feel awkward in answering it? Yeah. Well, today we have a new member ceremony, and I thought that what we might do, seeing as we're wrapping up our theme-based listening circles, exploring the spiritual theme of what it means to be a people of becoming. So, I thought it might be good to delve a little deeper into what it means to become a Unitarian Universalist and how we can talk about our faith. Now, for those of you that were here last October, we delved into this idea where I offered 5 tools that you can put into your toolbox to have at the ready for just those awkward conversations when they crop up. We're going to do a quick review. It's not a test. And then I'm going to offer one more for you to consider. The first tool that you have at your disposal is that we have deep historical roots. Our roots go back 500 years, and our story stems from the Jewish and Christian stories. Our ideas about love and the oneness of everything can be found from the very early days of Christianity and are present in so many other different world religions. Part of these historical roots have us being an organized religion that is called to build a beloved community, one that is grounded in the mandate of love and justice. We have deep historical roots. Fabulous. I want you to rev that engine up because we're going to do more of that. Secondly, we are a covenantal people. And what holds our covenants apart from our Jewish and Christian roots is that our covenant is a horizontal one, not a vertical one. Our covenant is with one another and not with a deity above us. And you can find our covenant of right relations on our webpage if you're curious about what it is or you want to refresh yourselves on the promises that we make with one another. So we have deep historical roots. We are a covenantal people. The third idea that I offered at that service is the concept that we are a living tradition. And that means that we are constantly growing and evolving. We are not just learning how to hold compassion in our heart. We are just learning how to hold compassion in our hearts. for not only those who are different from ourselves, but for those who are like us. So we have deep historical roots. We are a covenantal people. And we are a living tradition. The other thing I think we need to include in our toolkit is the transforming power of community. Each time we come together and learn from each other, deeply listen to one another, we cannot help but be transformed. I'm just going to lift up the service that we did on Easter, the transformation service, when we heard of the lived experience of trans-identified folks. We were all transformed by those stories. So, we have deep historical roots. We're a covenantal people. We're a living tradition. And we are transformed by the power of community. You say it, Brett. I love it. The other tool to include is that imbued in the practice of Unitarian Universalism is the practice of shared ministry. Shared ministry is something that we do together. I've heard it described this way. Ministry is the act of ministering to. It is a way in which we are with each other in mindful and nurturing ways. Ministry is not something that just us ordained or religious professionals do. Shared ministry is something that we all do. So we have deep historical roots. We're a covenantal people. We're a living tradition. We're transformed by the power of community. And we practice shared ministry together. And here's a very practical, tangible example of how we do that. We do that as we welcome and celebrate the decision of those to become members in our congregation. In our free religious tradition, membership is especially important. When we recognize membership, we honor the individual's right to determine their own conscience and their ability and their responsibility to act on what they believe to be true and good. When we recognize membership, we also honor the bonds of association and community. We remind ourselves that our ability to form close connections and share our lives with others is at the very core of who we are as human beings. There is no test of membership in our congregations. Instead, people decide for themselves whether or not they belong. And as a congregation, we agree to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person, justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, and respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part, which is just to name 3 of our 8 principles. As a self-governing congregation, we turn to our elected and volunteer leaders to conduct these ceremonies. It's my honor and my privilege to welcome Pam Rickey, your current president of the Board of Trustees of our congregation, and Duff Bond, who represents our membership committee, to conduct this ceremony.
Hi, I'm Duff Bond. It is with great joy, excuse me, that we acknowledge that Rachel Smith, Steph Weber, Sasha Semenoff, Brett Willisco, Lisa Gasson-Gardner, Sophie Sapergia, Carol Yankee, and Peter Campbell have chosen to become members of Calgary Unitarians. We invite all of you who I just named to come forward to be recognized by the congregation. There are several who are unable to be with us this morning, and we'll include them in a future membership ceremony. A covenant is a promise which we enter together as a community. As we welcome our new members, we all have an opportunity to renew our commitment and remember what it was that brought us here. For you as members and friends of this congregation, you have a role in this ceremony as well. You will find the words printed on the insert in your order of service, as well as being projected. You are invited to read along at home or here with Pam when the words indicate to do that.
Membership in this congregation is both simple and difficult. It is simple because we have no set creed, but maintain an open door to those who feel at home with us. It is difficult because those who join us have made a personal decision to become part of our religious community that is searching for truth, struggling for justice, and attempting to live in love. Please join me in saying the words that are indicated for the congregation to read. Our agreement together is that we will be tolerant of each other in our diversity, and that we will take responsibility personally and together for the world in which we live. If we are to prosper as a church community, each of us must contribute to the ongoing life of the groups and find in such participation. So,
in joining this congregation as a free and responsible person, I acknowledge my desire to belong and to help build a free and responsible religious community.
now we're going to ask if any of the new members would like to say a few words. They don't have to, but they are welcome to.
Hi, my name's Brett, also Teal Hymnal, if you heard earlier. I kind of followed a friend to this church, and that's what brought me here. But what's keeping me here is finding a whole new friend and family relationships here in this community, and being so welcomed here, and I love the choir.
For me, it goes back to our first source of faith. Peter, as you can see, right? Well, at least you're in the front row. For me, it goes back to our first source of faith, which I don't know if it gets as much mention, but this place inspires me to find beauty in life's transcending mystery, most of all.
Hi everyone, Sophie Saperja, she, her, hers. And on behalf of my spouse, Alberto, who's not here today as well, we're just so grateful to have found such a welcoming community. Thank you.
All right, it's our turn, congregation. We'll wait for our slide. To you who are becoming members of this religious community, we extend our welcome. May our journey together be richly fulfilling. May it bring our shared aims and ideals more fully to realization. May these things be so. Thank you.
It's always a joy to welcome new members. And Brett, that truly was fluke. It was. The other thing that I would like for you to consider putting into your toolbox is something that holds us separate and apart from the other faith traditions in the world. And that is that we are a pluralistic faith. This is where I want to take a little bit of time to unpack what that means, this idea of a pluralistic faith. Now, I've heard of some people describe Unitarian Universalism as a place where you can believe whatever you want. There was a time in my own formation of becoming a Unitarian Universalist where I used that phrase as well. And yet, nothing could be further from the truth. The term religious pluralism is one that goes beyond awareness and education about differing religious and cultural beliefs. It's rooted in an understanding and respect. It's rooted in understanding and respect. It is rooted in reciprocity of relationships. And it's through these relationships that we become open to being transformed by the power of community. For example, when I first joined a UU congregation, with me and my very limited understanding of theology, it grew exponentially when I found myself sitting around a table in a room full of Unitarian Universalists and humanists and mystics and atheists. I was just like a recovering Roman Catholic at that point. I had never heard of any of this. And I can actually remember that moment when I realized that I was sitting around the room with a group of people that had distantly heard about growing up, but it was a really dismissive tone and attitude. I mean, really? Unitarian Universalism? Isn't that some kind of cult? And here I was, sitting in a circle sharing thoughts and feelings about deep issues and matters. What it meant to be alive in this world, together. And it was through those relationships that I developed with people who I grew to love and respect still to this day, that opened me up to different perspectives. And as I look back on that time, I can see that it was only through the ability to create those spaces where free and open and respectful dialogue is one of the ways that our theological perspectives evolve and grow. Remember, living tradition. For us as Unitarian Universalists, there are many paths to the sacred, to the divine. It's part of what we call the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. And so for us, becoming Unitarian Universalist means that we actively put ourselves into spaces that require courage and bravery, and to put aside beliefs that can keep us small. At next week's Sunday service, we'll have an opportunity to do just that. Francis Becquet will be our speaker next week, offering his reflections on privilege. He's currently the co-chair of the Calgary Alliance for the Common Good Strategy Team, as well as being the executive director of Action Dignity. His role is to strengthen Action Dignity's commitment to the building of a healthy society where immigration, place, race, and several layers of intersection cease to become predicators of people's overall well-being. I encourage you to attend. To say that we are a faith community that is grounded to justice, equity, and compassion in human relations, we have to live that. And part of that means that we need to do our own inner work, to do the hard work of dismantling systems of oppression in ourselves and in our institutions. People need to know, especially in these times, what our commitments are. So no, we can't really say that this is a faith tradition where you can believe what you want. Our humanist thread tells us that it's with our own two hands that we create the world in which we live. So to become a Unitarian Universalist is to lean into our principles and enact them in the larger world in a way that is bold, in a way that is clear, in a way that answers the call of love. That's what it means to be a pluralistic faith. So, we have deep historical roots.
We have deep historical roots.
We are a covenantal people.
We are a covenantal people.
We are a living tradition.
We are a living tradition.
We are transformed by the power of love.
We are transformed by the power of love.
Yeah. We practice shared ministry together.
We practice shared ministry together.
And we are a pluralistic faith.
We are a pluralistic faith.
Amen. Namaste. Blessed be.
I'd like to invite you to rise in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, number 1014, Answering the Call of Love. 3, 4. The promise of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide, and so every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Whatever your gender, whatever your sexual orientation, whatever your gifts and talents, go now and know that you are a unique reflection of a higher spirit and purpose. Let your light shine and encourage each person to let their light also shine.
We extinguish our chalice and our time together with words from Krista Taves. You're invited to reach your hand out and grasp a spark of light as the chalice is extinguished and place it on your heart. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on. In the directions we have chosen today, the light of this faith lives on in us together. In our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits, amen and blessed be.
For our postlude today, the translation, this is a Hebrew text. The world is sustained by three things: by truth, by justice, and by peace. May it be so.